From improving his undefeated record to 23 wins after defeating Javier Lopez to knocking out Francisco Fonseca in just 80 seconds. Here are some of the most insane moments from Ryan Garcia's career, starting with the time he defeated Javier Lopez. The biggest reason this was iconic was because it was one of the first victories that Garcia had.
Because not only is he fighting for himself, he's fighting for his daughter and his daughter's future.
Nice double jab.
That shoulder not to get hit inside, and that's a really veteran move.
Oh, good uppercut. Lopez.
And it really put his name out there and established him as one of the biggest upcoming fighters in the game. It was a match between the two back on March 30th, 2019. A lot of people were doubting Garcia as he stepped into the octagon, because at that time, he didn't have the kind of reputation he does now. Now, he's an undefeated champ. Back then, he was just a relatively new fighter with a lot to prove. The first round of the fight, Garcia couldn't really make an impressive finish. Both the fighters battled for dominance, and the fight got dragged to the next round. In the second round, it was obvious who was going to walk away as the winner. Garcia was unstoppable and dominated the fight. Not too long into the second round, he scored the victory via a left hook to his opponent's body, as Lopez was seen unable to fight back. The fight had to be stopped by the referee. This fight showcased some of Garcia's finest skills in the octagon and showed just how incredibly well he can finish a fight. Speaking of how incredibly well he finishes fights, who can forget when he finished Romero Duno in 98 seconds?
No fight. On that card was Romero Duno. Garcia at that time did not want that fight. Chris Mannix, as you mentioned earlier, Duno. Garcia able to land that. Right now he's down, he goes. Right hand and a hook, and Duno is hurt. Duno is hurt bad. Wow.
Romero Duno is not a fighter that you can just finish all that easily. We all know he's fierce and a force to be reckoned with, but so is Garcia. This fight was going to prove who among the two is really the king. So you know the pressure was on for both of them. A lot of people thought that this was going to be one of the few times that Garcia faces defeat in a match. Because let's be honest, this was one of the toughest fights of his career. But the way he handled the whole thing just proved how incredible he is. As soon as the fight started, people stopped doubting Garcia as they saw him absolutely destroy his opponent in just the first round. There was no question that he was going to walk away as the winner of the match. Romero tried time after time to turn the game around, but failed every single time. It was obvious that he was no match for Garcia's speed and strength. Garcia landed a straight right hand going through his opponent's guard, but he didn't stop even after Duno was staggered by it. He then landed another straight right hand before landing a vicious left hook to Duno's temple that knocked him out. And just like that, he beat his opponent in just 90 seconds and walked away as the winner. But if you think ending a fight in 90 seconds was impressive, wait till you hear about this next one. Garcia beat Francisco Fonseca in just 80 seconds. Damn!
This is a young kid that likes to start off early with that check hook right there, but he needs to set it up with fast jabs.
You can see on the front of Ryan Garcia's trunks, he's got
Crazy off the temple.
Oh, and a left hand! Sits Fonseca down! Flat on his back! It's over!
This guy seems to be A, unstoppable, and B, hella fast. The way he just needed 80 seconds to absolutely destroy an opponent like Fonseca is absolutely insane. At this point in his career, there was no doubt that Garcia can get anything he sets his eyes on, and there's probably no fighter that he can't beat. So even before the fight, people were rooting for the guy, and they just knew he wasn't going to let them down. Then, when he stepped into the octagon, he proved them all right. As soon as the fight started, he didn't give his opponent any chance to dominate the match. And when you consider the fact that his opponent was a fighter like Francisco Fonseca, you can just see how strong and fast Garcia really is. After the fight ended, Garcia told DAZN in a post-fight interview that he wanted the fight to go on longer. And as impressive as it is to end a fight in just 80 seconds, he wanted it to be longer so he could showcase his skills even more. This was also very impressive as this was his second first-round knockout in a row. After he knocked out Romero in just 90 seconds for the World Boxing Council Silver Light title, in another interview after the fight, he said that he had his sights set on many fighters, including Luke Campbell. And boy, was that a fight to see. Garcia got TKO win over Luke Campbell.
You know, southpaws can be tricky to box for orthodox fighters. The first southpaw Ryan's fought in 3 years, but Ryan told us this week he loves fighting southpaws because of
Eddie Reynoso saying to Ryan Garcia, "You're young." Body shot, and he goes down, and now Campbell is down on a knee, 2 knees.
Not all fighters can name a fighter they want to fight, and then not only fight said fighter, but also win against them in an incredible way. Now that's something we can all respect. King Rai doesn't just trash talk, he goes ahead and does everything he says. And although this fight didn't end in 80 seconds like the previous one, it was still pretty impressive. Campbell was a big threat to Garcia's undefeated record. This could have been the end of his streak, but Garcia wasn't going to let that happen just yet. Both the fighters put up quite a fight against each other all through the first round, and both of them were equally vicious. Campbell landed a left hook that brought Garcia down to the canvas for the first time in his career. This really made his fans worried that he was going to lose, but his comeback was just as impressive as his victory over the British boxer. Garcia knew exactly what to do after this, pulled himself together, and gave the fight his all. He started gaining dominance over the fight, and soon, it was obvious that Garcia was more likely to win than Campbell. In the next few rounds, he didn't give his opponent any chance to dominate, and then in the 5th round of the fight, he ended up winning via TKO, after landing an uppercut and a vicious left hook that absolutely rocked his opponent. Speaking of fights going on for more than just 2 rounds like they usually do for Garcia, one of his fights even went to 8 rounds. Jason Velez got beaten in the 8th round by Garcia. Jason Velez is one of the strongest in the game right now.
Keeping him off him, which is not going to be a good thing. Garcia must Velez and throw combinations and not get trapped on the ropes like he's getting trapped now.
Prove who he is. Ryan Garcia, a true prospect.
This fight
Who's now the Flash becomes a monster.
Hello.
The business.
So it's no wonder the fight against him went on for 8 rounds. But at the end of the day, Garcia's made it clear that he doesn't like losing, and this wasn't going to change. Even if it was the former featherweight world title challenger, Garcia had no issues, which absolutely destroyed him. For the first time in his career, Garcia went past the 8th round in a fight, but no one was complaining because of just how entertaining all these 8 rounds were to watch. And at the end of the 8th round, with a fight score of 99-91, Garcia walked out of the octagon as the winner once again, just like he did in his next fight. His bout was with Javier Fortuna. Knockouts are always my favorite part of any match, and especially when they come from Garcia.
Pushing the tempo in the 4th round, and a body shot sends Fortuna down.
That was a body shot just like we saw.
Ryan Garcia should be beating this guy. Look how much taller he is. But guess what? People want to throw, and he caught him with a left hook again. And Javier Fortuna.
Because you know they're going to be incredible. People thought that recently, Fortuna was going to be the biggest challenge of Garcia's career. He's one of the few fighters who could really put up a fight against him. But boy, did Garcia prove everyone wrong. The match went down on July 16th of last year, but it would be remembered for quite a while. What makes this fight so special is that it didn't just have 1 knockout, it had 3. The first 2 were bad enough to make Fortuna lose it, but he decided to press forward, only to get knocked out a 3rd time. It got to the point where the referee had to stop the fight and save Fortuna before Garcia actually destroyed him. And that was all about some of Ryan Garcia's most insane moments from his career.